Blue lights flashed across the south side like a warning. Reg stood still as two officers locked handcuffs around his wrists. The people around him gasped. No one could believe it. Fran, who had worked so hard to stay clean, was being dragged into a police car like a criminal. Someone shouted, "He didn't do nothing!" But it was too late. The damage was done. A leader had fallen, and the whole neighborhood felt it. It was supposed to be a normal night. Reg had just finished a quiet meeting near the barber shop. He wasn't looking for trouble. He wasn't even running with the old crew anymore. But then, out of nowhere, two unmarked cars pulled up fast. Officers jumped out and surrounded him. Guns were drawn, no warning, no questions. Just an order. Hands up! Reg didn't fight, he didn't yell. He just raised his hands slowly and looked around. Confused, almost heartbroken, the people on the block stopped in their tracks. Everyone knows Reg. He's been trying to fix things for a while now. He's the one who kept the peace between young guys like Bakari and older heads who wanted war. He's the one who told Jake to focus on school and stay out of trouble. For many in the South Side, Reg was a second chance, a symbol that people can change. So when the cops grabbed him like that, it felt like more than just an arrest. It felt like a message. Some people say he was set up, that someone made an anonymous call, that the cops found a gun in his car but the gun didn't belong to him. Others say it's all politics. The streets have been heating up again. Douda's people are back in motion. Reg was one of the few trying to stand in the way. He was no saint, but he had stepped back from the darkness. Now, it feels like the darkness found him again. As the news spread, the South Side reacted with a mix of shock, anger, and fear. Some shouted in the streets, others stood silently watching the flashing lights disappear. Kids who once looked up to Reg now saw him in cuffs. Mothers who believed he had changed wept quietly. Even Emmett, who once clashed with Reg, looked shaken. And Keisha, she looked like her world had been flipped upside down. No one saw this coming. No one was ready. What matters most is what this arrest could mean. For the South Side, Reg wasn't just another street name, he was family. He was proof that you could walk away from your past and still be respected. Now, that hope is in danger. His arrest doesn't just shake one man, it shakes trust. It shakes progress. And it puts everyone, especially the ones Reg was trying to protect, at risk of falling back into chaos. But the biggest question remains, why now? Why arrest him just as things were calming down? Is this justice or something much deeper and darker? Once Reg was feared. His name carried weight in every alley and block on the South Side. People crossed the street when they saw him coming. Back then, Reg lived fast and dangerous, running corners, making money, and answering only to the code of the streets. But behind that hard stare and sharp attitude was a man shaped by loss, survival, and deep responsibility. He didn't choose that life. It was the life handed to him. Everything changed the day he had to raise Jake. Losing their older brother left a hole, and Reg had to fill it, fast. He stepped up not just as a brother, but as a father figure. That's when his edges started to soften. You could see it in how he talked to Jake, how he pushed him to go to school, how he wanted something better for him. Reg began to realize that real power wasn't in guns or fear, it was in building something that lasted. That realization planted the seed of change. Over time, Reg started pulling away from gang politics. It wasn't easy. In a place where loyalty is everything, walking away is dangerous. But Reg took the risk. He got involved in legit business, trying to build something clean. He started working with Trig and others to help keep peace in the streets. He wasn't trying to be a hero, but he was trying to be different. Still, the streets don't forgive or forget. Every move he made away from crime was watched by people who didn't want change. Douda saw it, the old heads saw it, and even the cops saw it. That's the trap for black men like Reg. You change, you try to rise, and suddenly people treat you like a bigger threat. Reg's past kept following him. No matter how clean he tried to be, the shadows didn't let go. What made Reg stand out was that he never pretended to be perfect. He didn't ask for praise. He just did the work. He mentored Bakari. He gave second chances to people no one else believed in. He stayed connected to the streets while still trying to protect the next generation from making the same mistakes. Reg was proof that growth doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. That's why his arrest hurts so deeply. Not just because it's him, but because of what he represented. A man with a violent past who was truly trying to be better. To show that redemption is real. That you can carry scars but still heal. That you can make it out, not by running away, but by standing strong in the same place you once fell, now that he's behind bars. It's not just Reg on trial, it's the very idea of second chances. Was it all for nothing? Or is this just the next storm he'll have to survive? Asterisk, there's no such thing as a clean arrest in the Chi, not when politics, power, and the streets are this tangled. Reg's arrest didn't feel like justice, it felt like a hit. Silent, planned, and timed too perfectly. One moment he was free, trying to build something real. The next, he was in cuffs. So now everyone's asking the same question. Who wanted Reg out of the way? The first name that comes to mind is Douda, cold, calculated, always watching. He's not the kind of man who shares control. And Reg, he was becoming a problem. Not a loud one, but a dangerous one, the kind that quietly earns respect without fear or blood. That's what made Reg powerful. And that's what made him a threat. Douda's empire depends on fear, and Reg was changing the rules. He was offering kids hope, and hope ruins control. Some believe Douda didn't even have to lift a finger. Maybe he just whispered in the right ear. Maybe he just let the system do what it's always done, crush black men who try to rise. A planted gun, a false witness, a corrupt cop with orders. We've seen it before. The streets don't need bullets to kill, they use silence, rumors, and handcuffs. But Douda's not the only suspect. Let's not forget politics. Trig's been running for office. Emmett's getting bolder, and Reg? He was the bridge between both worlds, the street and the system. That balance made him dangerous to more than just criminals. It made him dangerous to anyone in power. When men like that rise, they either get offered a deal or they get taken out. There's also the possibility of betrayal from within. Someone close. Someone who stood beside him, then flipped, maybe for money, maybe for safety. Maybe because they were scared Reg was actually going to change the game, and that scared them more than violence ever could. Then there's the police. Let's not pretend they were clean in this. Why show up in unmarked cars? Why arrest him in public like it was meant to be seen? This wasn't about law, it was about a message. A show of force. And if they were tipped off, who tipped them? The truth is, Reg's enemies aren't just thugs in the alley. They wear suits, badges, sometimes even smiles. But the real twist? Reg might have known it was coming. Some fans believe he saw the signs. That quiet look he gave Jake the night before. That long hug with Bakari. Maybe he felt the walls closing in. Maybe that's why he didn't run. Because Reg isn't just a survivor, he's a fighter. And maybe, just maybe, this is part of a bigger plan. Reg is gone, but his absence is louder than his presence ever was. The South Side isn't just missing a man. It's missing a protector, a peacemaker, a quiet force that held a fragile balance between chaos and calm. And now that he's behind bars, everything is beginning to crack. The question isn't just what happened, it's what happens now. Jake is the first to feel it. His older brother is gone again, and this time it's not because of bullets, it's because of the system. Reg was his rock, his guide. Now Jake stands at a dangerous crossroads. He can step up and lead like Reg tried to, or slip into the old world where respect comes with blood. With emotions boiling and no clear mentor left, fans fear Jake might spiral, and that fear feels real. Bakari as a ticking bomb. Reg was the only one who believed in him fully. The only one who didn't see him as just a kid with anger and a bad rep. Losing Reg could either break him or light a fire that explodes across the block. If Bakari decides to take revenge, it won't be subtle. He's young, he's loyal, and he's furious. One wrong step, and the streets will bleed again. Then there's Trig. He tried politics, he tried peace, but he's seen too many dreams crushed by lies and handcuffs. If Trig steps off that political path and returns to his old ways, it could spark a power shift across the South Side. Reg's arrest might be the push that turns him from a hopeful leader into a street soldier again. Fans are already whispering. Will Trig strike back? Meanwhile, Emmett is stuck between family and survival. He's finally learning how to stand up for what's right, but what if standing up means stepping into Reg's shoes? Can he really lead, or will he crumble under pressure? His next move could shape the future of the entire neighborhood, and what about Douda? If this was his play, then he's watching carefully now, calm, confident, ready to strike again. If no one stops him, Douda will grow stronger, untouchable, and that's what makes Reg's arrest so dangerous. It leaves a void, and in the chi, every void gets filled, either with hope or something much worse. Now the fan theories are flying online. Some believe Reg won't stay locked up for long. Maybe someone on the inside helps him escape. Maybe there's a secret witness ready to flip and clear his name. Others say this is all part of Reg's plan to expose the truth from behind bars and take down his enemies one by one. There's even a wilder theory that Reg let himself be taken, that he knew it was the only way to shine light on the dirt behind closed doors, that he's playing a long game, not just for himself, but for Jake, for Bakari, for every kid trying to stay alive and stay clean, whether it's justice, revenge, or redemption. Something big is coming. The she doesn't stay quiet for long. And with Reg's arrest, the storm has only just begun.